We are now live. Can someone do an audio check for me? My audio checks always get messed up. Like my phone is all screwed up. For whatever reason, the Twitch app does not like me. But I'll give it
Andrew,
another
you got
shot.
it, or
I'll give it another shot.
I can do it. I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of making my own dinner.
no? You're good. I was like, if not, I can.
It's weird. Like if I check the stream manager on my phone, it like doesn't work. I have to open up a separate stream first. And then okay. I can hear myself. All right,
Word.
Nate.
Yeah. Lando Norris is great. Awesome.
Okay, yeah, all right, we heard you. We got it.
Okay.
Andrew,
Check.
give me another.
Check.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. I just have my finger over the speaker. I had to buy a new phone case today because my phone was broken. It's been a very hectic day. Did some last minute ordering for the race next week, and so let's get into it. F101 week 18.5 Singapore review. I think I'm calling this episode Papaya for me and not for thee. And we'll get into why a little later. But first, oops, I just opened Steam on accident. I'm a mess today. but first,
Wounds, baby.
But first, McLaren nets their second World Constructors' Championship in a row, and they tie Red Bull with the earliest WCC win of all time. They had 6 races to go. They tied that with Red Bull, who got that in 2023. They could have had that record all themselves in Baku if they showed up last weekend or last race, but they didn't. That's neither here nor there. They now have that record tied. I think it was around week 3 or 4 when everyone kind of knew McLaren was going to seal the constructors. I mean, it wasn't even close. It just, because of the amount of points available, it takes time to like mathematically win. So I don't think, it's not, no one was surprised that they won. You know what I mean? Obviously, them and their fans should all be very happy that they won, and they all are very happy. Formula One has always been a constructor sport first, and then the drivers' championship second. That's usually how the teams kind of view it in terms of importance. Obviously, as fans, we're more invested in the drivers than the teams, unless you're a Ferrari fan. Usually, then that's more about the team. But the drivers have personalities. You see, the drivers are, you get more attached to the drivers. So we as fans care about the drivers' championship more, but the teams themselves don't give a shit. Not that they don't give a shit, but the constructors is more important. So congratulations to McLaren. I'll let Nate gloat in a little bit. But first, also this race in general, pretty much a snooze fest. So now, Nate, now is your time. You have the floor.
I have the floor.
Brag away.
Oh, boy.
Celebrate.
You little, I can't. How dare?
Why
How
not?
dare.
You won the constructors.
I fucking hate that you just did this to me.
It's because he's a Lando first,
Oh my
McLaren's second
gosh.
fan.
Oh my god. Dude, I'm gonna be an Aston Martin fan next year, I swear.
Stroll
He
fan.
wins
Oh
immediately
man.
Okay,
switches.
so you know how my idea for whoever gets last place in our fantasy league should have to root for the Jets the next year as the punishment? For pick the podium, whoever gets last should have to be a Lance Stroll fan, not including Dave.
Oh, no, but one, I support that punishment. But two, no, I mean, yeah, happy to have clinched. We can officially say like the job is done in that
Mm-hmm.
sense. Um, Now it goes to full driver's fight. all that's left to settle is the drivers' championship. Um, so it's like with that still up in the air. Um, that's where the eyes are. Frankly, my eyes are on my team fandom right now, just
Mm.
very much in question. Um, just because there are so many little like things and nuances within us winning over this past weekend specifically to analyze. Um, I mean, are we saving some of those bits for later? Like,
Drivers,
like
yeah,
you
we'll
might.
talk about it.
Okay. So I'll save that for later. But just just within like the celebration itself, like someone was there and somebody else was not quite present. Not out of their own personal choice or anything like that, but I know people have been making a big deal out of it.
Yeah, that was Formula
Um,
One's fault. Not,
yeah,
not.
like not so. Um, but there's just a lot of little things that just kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say killed the mood because again, like, was still happy that it happened, but of course, like, I'm greedy. I'm greedy as hell. So like, if you know, I could change how it happened and whatnot,
Yeah,
I probably would. Um, but still happy. I mean, we won in dominant fashion for this year
yeah,
on the scoreboard. You know, like it was like Andrew in the AEC. So we take that. We take that.
I wish my win was that dominant.
I
yeah,
mean, it was to me, Andrew. So that's all that matters as far as I'm concerned.
Fair enough.
Nothing else matters. No other opinions or viewpoints or POVs matter. Not even the one of the person that did it. Doesn't matter.
all
But yeah,
right.
no, that's all
We're
I've
getting
got.
off track here.
Yeah, that's all I've got on that.
They had a crazy year, dominant year. I know in this year's Papaya rules discussions, a lot of and this is just the word I'm using for it. Maybe it's not the best word, but a lot of the excuse for why they did things the way they did was because they wanted to secure the constructors, which I always thought was kind of stupid because it was clear they were going to win it anyway. But now that that's over, now it's all about the drivers, and we'll see how it shakes out. But before we get to that, we got to do a little bit of administrative work, the finishing order, and the good day, bad day. Then we'll get back into McLaren. So, finishing order. George Russell wins after an amazing qualifying session, puts it on pole, and then just controls the race from there. I mean, he didn't put a foot wrong. He did really great all weekend. He deserved that win for sure. Uh, Verstappen in second, Norris in third. That's the podium. Piastri fourth, Antonelli fifth. Then Leclerc, Alonso, Hamilton, Behrman, and Sainz rounding out the points. Following them was Hadjar, Sonoda, Stroll, Albon, Lawson, Colapinto, Bortoletto, Ocon, Gasly, and Hulkenberg. No DNFs this race. No safety cars. Another what should be a pretty high safety car race doesn't have one. Um, and then good day, George Russell and Mercedes, McLaren, obviously, and Max Verstappen, and Fernando Alonso. Lots of good days. Bad days, Oscar Piastri, Lewis Hamilton, Williams, and Fernando Alonso. Now you're probably wondering, wait, but didn't he also have a good day? Yes, we'll get into it. Fernando had a very up and down day. Um, he was all over the place. But McLaren, they win it. The constructors, they deserve it. Their car's been insane. But it's McLaren, so of course there has to be drama. Something has to overshadow the win. And of course, because it's McLaren, has to do with Papaya rules. So I'm going to give a brief rundown of what happened on the opening lap, and then we'll get into it. So I'll get all of the information of the race out of the way, and then we can talk about it. So lap one, Who the hell is Loris? Norris makes an aggressive move, passing Antonelli. So Oscar's in third to start, Antonelli in fourth, Norris, Lando Norris in fifth. So He makes an aggressive move. He passes Antonelli, comes right up to next to Piastri, and gets real close to the back of Verstappen. He then clips Verstappen, reacts, and hits Piastri in a wheel-to-wheel contact. This contact doesn't send Piastri in the wall or anything, but he does hit him. Piastri has to, avoid more disaster. So he gets stuck behind Norris and immediately is on the team radio asking if Norris is going to give that position back since it was an unfair move and it went against the team's general approach to racing, which is their Papaya rules, which is what has everyone has said is no contact. No contact allowed. They can't don't touch each other. And then Lando hits Oscar, whether that's because of he hit Verstappen first or not, he still hit Oscar. And it's kind of like, okay, now what? So Piastri's pissed off. He's like, are you going to give it back? The team says no. And he stays in fourth the rest of the race. And then to add insult to injury, a little salt on the wound, he gets a slow pit stop. Not another one for him, but another one for the team. Ruined any chance of him applying pressure to Norris. And so now we have another Papaya rules discussion. It's like the fourth time this year. And McLaren has kind of brought this on themselves because they are making up these rules to keep things fair between their two number one drivers, which I think we all can kind of agree you can't really have that. But it kind of seems that lately Norris has benefited from those rules and team orders way more than Piastri has. And there's a lot to that. Norris is probably the true number one driver. I don't think anyone's really going to argue that too much. And that's fine. He's been with the team for a lot longer. He stuck with them. He's kind of like Zach Brown's project. And that's fine. He's also behind Piastri a lot of the time this year. So when something happens, he stands to benefit. Throughout the year, in Australia, Piastri was told not to attack Norris. In Austria, Piastri locks up and gets close to hitting Norris, but he's, told off on the radio. Norris got nothing in contrast for actually hitting Piastri. In Belgium, Norris was free to attack Piastri, unlike Piastri in Austria after an offset in pit stop strategy. Hungary was the same as Austria, but that was more because of another pit stop strategy like offset. And then in Monza, we've talked enough about Monza. Piastri told us to cede position, whatever. In my opinion, the Papaya rules are stupid. And Norris, Piastri, Stella, and Brown have all said Papaya rules don't crash into each other. So when that happens, and then nothing's really done about it, I think it's totally fair for people to scrutinize McLaren for the way they handled that situation. They brought this on themselves, and they have what should be a feel-good moment, again, totally overshadowed. And they were like, during the race, they were like, hey, Oscar, the stewards didn't say anything, so we're not going to do anything either. I think that's a total cop-out. The stewards weren't involved in any of the other Papaya rules decisions. So, in my opinion, there cannot be any more Papaya rules or team orders from here on out. Unless there's there's an outlier. There can be an exception, obviously. But the Constructors' Championship is sealed. It's time for Norris and Piastri to race each other. Even though the World Constructors' Championship was won a while ago, it just wasn't mathematically won. Regardless, the excuse goes away, and now it's all eyes on McLaren and their WDC. If I was Piastri, I'm not following team orders after that. So that is a brief overview of the McLaren drama. It gets more deeper. People have been doing a lot of analysis on it. People with way more time on their hands than I have. McLaren celebrated on the podium without Oscar because Oscar was in media duties. People say that's showing favoritism. In reality, that's Formula One being stupid and allowing scheduling Oscar for media duties and McLaren for the podium, and that podium celebration was also last minute. So that I don't really blame McLaren for. That one I think is that's just a bad look, even if it's not their fault. But it definitely wasn't. It was obviously not on purpose. They wouldn't do that on purpose. That's insane. So it's just a bad look, a bad time. When all of this papaya rules discussion is happening. So Nate, as a McLaren fan,
For now.
for now, thoughts?
Yeah. So I'm gonna start with the podium celebration part first. I'm gonna work a little in reverse here.
Okay.
Uh, like you said, yeah, I fully agree. It's a bad look, but yeah, not McLaren's fault, not either the driver's fault, just the fault of the way Formula One slash like the FIA have those kind of procedures arranged. Um, because I mean, I think Lando was what in the cool down room, and he just kind of got pulled into it.
The way I saw it is Lando was so they had the drivers on their podium celebration, and Lando was on
Mm-hmm.
his way to either the
Mm.
media pen or the garage or something, and the team was
Yeah.
on their way to the podium, and they just happened to cross paths, and they're like, "All right, Lando, come with us."
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like he just kind of got pulled into it. Like it's not like he was even.
Yeah, yeah,
Um.
yeah.
So and of course, obviously, Oscar doing media duties like during this, like, yeah, just a poor look. Um. As you mentioned with kind of the papaya rules and the ruling on the incident. Stewards didn't get involved. I do think it was a genuine racing incident. That being said, yeah, like the whole thing was no contact. Um. It's just a little awkward because Lando made contact with Max first. It's not like he was racing at Oscar in that moment or anything like that. And that's why, at the very least, not, I don't, frankly, I don't know what the hell I would do in this position. I still don't know what to do, and it pisses me off as a result. Um, but from what I understand, like, I think part of the reason the team didn't order that switch back is because the rule papaya rules, I guess, how whatever the fuck, you know, um, the rule is no contact racing each other directly. I think at that point Lando wasn't really racing Oscar directly per se. Um, Whereas earlier in the year when he had that DNF, like he was like it's literally was just him and Oscar. But in this case, we're talking lap one, turn one, everybody's fucking there. Um, so as far as Lando was potentially concerned in that moment, he was probably looking at it more as like, no, like I've gotten past Kimmy. I'm not thinking about Oscar. I'm looking at Max right in front of me. Um, which clearly maybe not looking hard enough considering the contact, which pains me to fucking say. Um, does that justify, not the team not getting involved? I don't know. It was just really weird. Um, it's really hard for me to be like, yeah, like what's Oscar doing getting on the radio like that? Like, no, because I'm sure whatever fucking discussions they had, especially after prior, incident and whatnot, it's like, yeah, like no contact. And they've, gotten on Oscar's case about like risky moves. Um, but I guess that also kind of leads into the, I don't want to say, I mean, I guess it's kind of a double standard in regards to the perception of the drivers and how they race. Um, and it's really just weird how quickly that can switch. I mean, Charles had overtake of the like, but or Charles had that overtake on Russell earlier in the year, and people were praising it as like overtake of the year and
Hmm.
whatnot. There's contact there,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. In Zandvoort.
but like with this, it's such a polarizing thing. Like I don't know. I don't know. And frankly, it frustrates me. And I think you're absolutely right. Like McLaren kind of fucked themselves and shot themselves in the foot with that. Um, Excuse my language, by the way. Sorry. It's just it really does genuinely bother me because it's like, yeah, like now you've kind of made this awkward situation for yourselves to deal with.
Yeah, I
Um,
think, you know, it's under more scrutiny just because of the papaya rules situations, plural, that have
hmm,
happened this year. You know what I mean?
yeah. So it's just yeah.
And you could argue that Lando probably shouldn't have hit Max either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's like and that's why it's like for me, I looking at it, I'm like, yeah, like I feel like that's just a genuine like racing incident. Should Lando have hit Max? No, absolutely not. But it's also like, okay, like at least like kind of inconsequential in the sense of like at least the initial hit with Max like didn't damage Max's car or vehicle. If anything, Lando took the damage from that. Um, shouldn't have happened in the first place. But in regards to then, hitting Oscar, it's like that wasn't even, like clearly Lando was not racing or like focused on like trying to be Oscar in that moment. He was just trying to get himself in position. Like he had the inside, the gap was there,
Hmm.
at least for a moment it was. Um, there's still no excuse for making that contact in general, but it's like I mean that's as much a racing incident as you can have.
Yeah.
Like so, like I have in my notes, it's like this is probably one of, if not like the most reasonable scenario for an incident like this. It's not going to be pleasant. Again, like they made it unpleasant for themselves.
Yeah, that's
Um,
why I said McLaren brought this on themselves.
yeah. But I mean, again, like you see, like the stewards didn't get involved. Like you watched a replay back, like, and I'd be intrigued to see Oscar's thoughts on it after. I mean, fully justifiable if he's still pissed off because it's like, well, dude, you still made an error, and that error ended up costing me.
Yeah.
Like, so, um,
I th- I don't think we'll ever hear Oscar's thoughts though, because he had the opportunity after the race during the interview,
mm,
and he said essentially nothing. So it'll all
yeah,
be handled behind closed doors.
Yeah, well, I
yeah. And I
think
mean, I don't blame him.
he's very, collected in
Yeah,
like media situations. We've seen him kind of lose that cool factor a few times this year, but certainly he is very uh, you know.
and
So
it just. Oh, go ahead, Andrew. My bad. My bad.
I actually have an interesting question for both of you. Because I was watching um the post race interview, and one of the mm, people asking questions were like, I was asking Lando about the incident, and one of the things he said is like, I had the inside line, so I was going to get that position anyway. And the thought popped into my head was, well, if you've got the position, why are you risking getting so close to Max, knowing that only hurts your case the most?
Well, I think that part of it is Max did not get the launch he wanted, so he was
Right.
closer to the McLarens than he, you know, would have been. So I think that's all a part of why Lando got so close to Max.
No, I mean I get that, but so if he's got the inside line on Piastri, he knows that going into or coming out of turn 3, if he's got that inside line, he's probably going to get to Piastri by the
Well, that's
next pass, confirm that pass.
right.
So go ahead, Nate.
I mean, that's so right. Like that's the thing. Like Oscar wasn't like an issue in Lando's mind. Like now his focus shifted. Once he had that inside position, I think his focus shifted to Max. Granted, it shifted a second too late because then he hit him. But as far as Lando was concerned, right, like he already had the inside line, so he knows he's going to be ahead of Oscar. And in his mind, Oscar has to give him that space. I'm not saying Oscar needed to give him any more space than he already had, and Oscar's not the one who intruded necessarily, right? Um, but I think that's where Lando's head was probably at in regards to pushing on Max. Then it's like, okay, I need to position myself so I can try to get around Max as soon as possible too.
Well, I guess that's where I differ because to me and like watching some of the onboard, it's kind of like you're staring at the back of his car. So yes, you need to get as close as possible to overtake, but there's also no way you're getting around him in the next two corners, and by then you have pretty much zero passing opportunity. What what purpose did you have by sticking your nose that far up and potentially risking A, your own race, or B, the race of your teammate who's standing right next to you or sitting right next to you?
Well,
Because
I
if he
think
doesn't,
he got a really good launch. So
mm,
part of that is because it was all in like the first few corners, and those are
Mm-hmm.
like the only overtaking positions in the entire lap. So he had to make something happen because if
mm,
you don't get past Max in those first few corners, you're stuck behind Max. Because we all know Max can defend like hell, you know.
Right.
So I think that was part of it. Um, I mean, I agree with you that like he got. I mean, obviously he got real close to Max. He hit him. But it's. I also am like, it is definitely like more of like a racing incident than like a poor judgment call. Um, but like, I don't think Lando's blameless, but I don't think he did it like I don't think he was necessarily being stupid either.
Mm-hmm.
right. I also think though too, like just before anything else, if he doesn't go for it, then he's not racing as far as
Yeah,
he's concerned and as far as
I agree.
half of the spectators. Like he
Yeah,
kind of said it himself too. Like at the end, he's like, like if I don't go for that, like whether I go for it or not, like if I don't go for it, then I'm not aggressive enough. If I do go for it, I'm too aggressive. And that's going to be the case with almost any driver too. It's the same as like people would say like some of Max's previous like overtakes that stemmed from quote unquote dive bombs. And I mean Lando's has his own fair share of those too. Um, but
yeah. So yeah, it is. You have to go for it because he's racing Oscar.
mm,
I don't know at what point did Oscar and Lando be like, all right, we're fine, we're gonna win the world constructors. I'm gonna focus on the drivers regardless. Um, I don't know if they consciously have ever thought that, but Lando, I mean, to me, that was like Lando's like, I'm winning, I'm doing this for the drivers as well as the constructors. So you're always compared to your teammate. So
Mm.
you always want to beat your teammate. And Lando is also behind Oscar in the standings still. So he has to make up. He's got some making up to do in terms of the points. So I
Mm.
can see like why he did. Like I don't blame him for doing it. I mean, if Oscar did the same thing, I don't think anyone would really blame him. I think people probably blame Norris more just because, but um, you know, that's a racing move from a racing driver. And then the problem is, as we said, the broader discussion about the papyrals and stuff is McLaren's fault for meddling in all this shit in the first place.
Mm. Mm.
And so I think Oscar's totally within his right to be like, hey, what the hell? And then them asking Lando if they wanted to pit Oscar first. I mean, that was a whole thing. I don't even know.
that
Like,
did
we don't
not
even.
help.
Yeah. And that's not the first time they've asked Lando about when to pit Oscar either. So that's just weird. I get it's because they want to give Lando like the first, like, because he's leading in those moments. So they want to give him the preferential strategy or the strategy he prefers at least. But
Mm.
like, you don't. I don't know. I don't know why you would. I feel like the phrasing is weird for them. I feel like they gotta just phrase it a little better. So that's Papaya rules. Let's move on because we could be here all night talking about it. We've already spent like half of the show on it, so
Mm. It
we'll,
just
we'll
didn't help too, like with the pit thing, and then
yeah, the
Oscar getting
slow
the
pit
slow pit
stop. Yeah,
just immediately after, dude. I was like, this is hard to watch.
yeah.
Yeah.
They won the World Constructors, but they sure don't look like it.
Yeah, no.
They, that I mean, it is so the pit stops are disastrous.
Hmm.
So I don't know what the hell's going on there. So yes, that's McLaren. That's Papaya rules. Um, and George Russell wins the race. George Russell won,
Yeah,
guys.
shout out George, man.
He
Shout
had
out
a
George.
crazy weekend. Antonelli brings home in fifth. Mercedes moves further ahead of Ferrari, and I think second in the World Constructors is likely for them. Uh, for Mercedes, Russell's on one. Antonelli's kind of gotten his form back. So they Mercedes. I mean, I don't know. I don't think anyone really, except for Sam, expected Mercedes like Russell to win. So definitely. I mean, he drove like hell. In a race that he has done poorly here in the past, and so he earned that win. That was real sweat from a real athlete at the end of that race. Uh, And behind him was Verstappen in second, keeping his World Drivers' Championship pipe dream alive. And importantly, moving Red Bull only 8 points behind Ferrari in the WCC. And I think Red Bull has a shot to take third from Ferrari, given two things: Verstappen's recent performances and Ferrari's tendency to mess everything up. Um, Tsunoda and the other bull, he had strong pace here during the race, but his poor qualifying meant he was stuck out of the points all race, and he admitted that himself. Um, I don't know if Yuki has a future in F1, unfortunately, but I will support him wherever he goes and whatever team he ends up on if he does stay in the sport, which I would like him to. Don't get me wrong. Um, Ferrari was not fast, and the car was hard to drive. Both drivers have to do way more lift and coast compared to every other team, and it just throttles their performance. They're doing like 80% more LeCo than anyone else. Leclerc was like pissed during and after the race. And he was Hamilton showed pace, but his brakes just gave up on him, and he ended up cutting a corner on the final lap, and it got him a 5-second penalty, dropping him down to eighth. And Hamilton also had a really, really slow stop. It was just a total mess from Ferrari this weekend. The car is awful. And Fred Vasseur had a conversation with one of the lead engineers who was pissed that Leclerc publicly badmouths the car and like all of their hard work. But like the car clearly sucks. You can't drive it flat out because you'll risk getting disqualified. I think the reason they have to lift and coast so much is because when they push it flat out, the car gets lower to the ground because there's more downforce, and their plank wear is so bad that they will get disqualified like in China. And so that's why they have to do a lot more. At least I think, I'm not entirely sure if that's why, but I've seen that speculated, and I believe that is the reason. So the car sucks. Both the drivers are in hell. Um, the pit crew's bad. It's just a mess at Ferrari. And I think they can if they lose third place in the constructors, it's not because Verstappen won every race. I mean, it would be because Verstappen won every race, but it's also because like they messed it up because they have two drivers really in like upper contention compared to Red Bull's one. So Ferrari, I mean, the Ferrari subreddit is a mess, but it's a lot of next year's our year. So we've entered that phase of the Ferrari. We've been in that phase for a while, but we're really in that phase right now. Um, so Alonso went through it all this race. Poor pit stop timing, bad strategy, ruined all the progress he made at the start of the race. At a point, he was like, if you talk to me every lap, I'm going to disconnect the radio to the engineer. But then he went on a tear in the back half of the race, and he made up for the poor performance and the poor strategy, and he got himself driver of the day. That's why he had a good day and a bad day. He truly was on both ends of the spectrum. And then Stroll didn't do anything. And speaking of not doing anything, Alpine, Sauber, Ocon, Lawson, and Williams were all so slow this race. The only notable thing out of that group is both Williams cars getting disqualified from qualifying after failing post-quali rear wing checks. Hadjar had an engine issue all race, but he still put up a pretty solid performance despite losing 3/10 a lap. And Behrman was on fire all qualifying and brought home the points. Behrman did really well this weekend. He was on fire. He's crushing it. Seeing him in Q3 was fun, and then he did well in the race, and he earned those points. So congratulations to Behrman and to Haas and to Andrew.
Thank you. I would also like to file my grievances with the TV camera people because
That's another discussion that's happening all over the place.
I looked and Behrman was ahead of Alonso by like 7 seconds, and then I looked back and Alonso was ahead of Behrman by like 5 seconds, and I was like, "The fuck happened?"
Yeah, there's a lot of commentary on the TV direction this year. They're not showing the midfield overtakes. They're showing too much of the drivers' families and relationships and stuff. It's always been like that. I mean, not always, but like it's been like that for a while. It's kind of like expected. I wish it wasn't like that. But I don't know. Apple is like really fighting hard to get exclusive US Formula 1 streaming rights. So maybe the direction will change. I don't know. If that happens, just please God don't make me listen to David Croft and Martin Brundle. That's all I ask. Please just keep the F1 TV crew. But yeah, the TV direction is rough. There's a lot of people complaining about it. But hey, for the next race, Andrew, we won't have to deal with it.
That's true.
So that is any other final thoughts on the race and the performances? I know it was obviously dominated by McLaren, the conversation and the race. So
I got nothing.
all right, Nate.
Nah, yeah. Just keep an eye out if you see me in Aston Martin gear next year.
I guess you do like Honda. That makes sense.
Nate, I'll get you an Aston Martin hat while we're in Texas.
Word.
Get him a stroll hat. Nate's gonna go to Aston Martin, and then Alonso's gonna leave because he said it's his last year, and then they're gonna be bad.
Then Yuki will roll in.
Yeah, or Max.
I mean, I could live with that. Grown to appreciate no risk, full push.
I love that man. I love that Dutch man so much. Oh man. So yes, we will. There's 6 races left, right? 6 in the season. So, and in order, it is. Let me see if I can do this off the top of my head. It's Austin, Mexico, Brazil, Vegas, Qatar, Abu Dhabi. Is that correct? Let's find out. Austin, Mexico, Brazil, Vegas, Qatar, Abu Dhabi. I'm great. I'm the best to ever do it. So it's next weekend is Austin, and then in 2 weekends from them is Mexico, and then is it 2 weekends from then? Is yes, 2 weekends from then would be Brazil, and then 2 weekends from then is Vegas, and then back to back Vegas, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, season over December 7th. And probably that's when we'll know the drivers' championship as well. So before we head out, of course, we have a certified Ferrari moment, and I'm giving it to McLaren. With another really slow pit stop and even more drama. Seriously, their pit crew needs to get it together. And then for pick the podium, a tie? Yes, you read and heard that right. A tie. Max and Sam are tied, making it the first tie in points outside of week 1 in both years. It's the first time there's ever actually been like a tie outside of the first week. So which is crazy. Uh, so Sam got there because he had. Oh man, it's not loading. He chose Russell to win, and he got 33 points, and I only got 16. So me and Sam are tied at 357. Nate is in second with 343. St. Andrew in third at 288, and then Dave with 58. So Dave is still in it. If someone gets, oh, you know what? If he, no, I think he might be out. He might be. He might. He'll be out at the end of this weekend. I think. I think he is. I think he might be out because it'll be three. I'll have to redo the math. So because the maximum amount of points he can get is different now. So I'll redo the math. But I think I think it might be done for him. I think it might be done for him. And that is week 18.5. We'll be here next week for the Austin preview. Might be a little shorter. I don't know how it's gonna work. It's gonna be. It might be a little rushed just because I'll have to pack and stuff like that because we're going to the race. There will be no Austin review. So if you want to say anything about the race, write it down so you can remember for the week after. The reason there's no Austin review is because I have a work thing that I can't get out of. It's not like that's the only reason. There's nothing like no. There's nothing else. There's nothing like weird happening. It's just the one Wednesday a year. It just happens to be an F101 week. So, um, we will be here next week, and then we'll have 2 weeks off, uh, or like a week off, and then we'll be back. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But yes, the Wednesday after Austin, no F101, and then we'll resume our normal schedule. I don't know if there's going to be the event. I'm sure we'll do something I don't know if we'll do anything live at the race, but maybe we'll put something together. We'll figure it out.
A montage, if you will.
Yeah. So thank you guys for being here. Sorry I was a little late. To Nate especially because he was here first.
For the first time ever.
I know, the first time ever, and the one time Nate's on
First and
time,
only
I'm
time.
not. Yeah. So thank you guys for being here. Another good show. Hopefully, the next race review we have won't be dominated by Papaya rules. And if it is, well, you know where to come for all the commentary. Right here. If you are watching this on YouTube and you are in the comments, let me know, who do you think's winning the drivers' championship, and do you think Ferrari is gonna keep third in the constructors? That's what I want to know. An actual Formula One question this week. And if you're gonna be at the race, let us know. If you're gonna be in Austin, throw that in the comments. We'll probably not meet up, but we could. I don't know who you are, so I'm a little scared. But if you're there, if you're out there, we'll do something.
Oh, come on. You got me and Sam with you. We'll be
That's
fine.
true. It's true. I've got like 400 pounds of muscle on my side. We'll be cool. So that's that.
Remember, we're all nerds.
Yeah, that's that. Thank you guys both for being here, and have a good night.